Welcome back to The Real Story. Like most things in life, especially when it comes to the advent of technology, AI brings both positives and negatives, pros and cons. After all, as one Nobel Prize winner once put it, technology is a useful servant, but a dangerous master. That is deeply and profoundly true, and that theme lies at the center of a recent piece in Human Events, written by AI wizard Larry Ward, in which he warns that AI's constant and clever praise is breeding an affirmation addiction that's turning America's young minds into digital yes-men. And it's all happening right under our noses in this hyper-connected era. AI dishes out personalized validation that feels earned, hooking users on synthetic ego boosts while also eroding one's ability to think critically, or even to think at all. Drawing from Apostle Paul's warnings then on false flattery, Ward parallels historical yes-men who doomed leaders to today's yes AI plague, amplifying everything from virtue signaling to the transgender surge among America's youth. Now, I'm not an AI hater, and I don't think Skynet is going to live, at least not anytime soon, and I can actually see the incredible value that AI can bring to the table. AI has revolutionized innovation, slashing drug discovery times by 50% per recent studies, and even supercharging US productivity in some remarkable and unexpected ways. But this ongoing addiction to it, lethal. On that note, a 2025 Common Sense Media report even shows that 72% of teens have tapped AI companions, half regularly, with 1/3 as satisfied chatting robots as real people. And reports reflect users plunging into delusions, even dating some of these chatbots. Even worse, AI is riddled with biases, and there are countless examples of it. Like from February 2024's Google Gemini scandal, where it churned out Black Vikings, Asian founding fathers, and diverse Nazis while dodging white images, screaming anti-white racism baked into its code. So what exactly is the key takeaway here? It's just this. If we let AI play eternal cheerleader, we're doing an entire generation to flattery-fueled flops, which means that we, as a society, must demand better. What we need is unbiased, truth-telling tech. And here with his thoughts is the man himself, Larry Ward, who's the president of Market Rithm Incorporated, and he joins us right now. Larry, thank you for being here, my friend.
Hey, thanks for having me.
So I just want to start by saying your piece in Human Events, you really speak to something that's quite dangerous, and yet it's so underreported and underdiscussed. So please fill us in more about your perspective on this downside of AI.
Well, it's exactly what you said. Look, AI has programmed into it very much like in very much the same way that Silicon Valley programmed into social media. This engagement mechanisms that uses your dopamine addiction to flatter you, to get you to know that people are liking your posts and sharing your posts, and you want to go back and see the responses that you have in social media. All of those things are used to trigger dopamine. Gaming companies have done it forever.
Yes.
To use video games to to trigger this dopamine addiction. And quite frankly, they built that same type of technology. Why wouldn't they? It's got us addicted to social media. It's got people addicted to video games. And so by having the ability to addict them to another property called artificial intelligence, why not add that engagement mechanism? However, with AI, it's more dangerous than social media by 1,000 times, because what it really does is it creates, like you said, this synthetic earned praise, and just keeps people coming back for it for more. Every time you post something, you say, hey, look, what do you think of this? Hey, brilliant. It's great. It's awesome. But the truth is, what happens when leaders have yes men around them? They become tyrants. They become completely oblivious to what's going on. Look, we just went through 4 years where we had a president who was obviously in a bad state,
Yes.
and everybody around him was saying how brilliant he was, and he was sharp as a tack, and we saw how that hurt our country in measurable ways. AI is doing that in everyday life for Americans.
Not only did that hurt the country, but really the whole world. I mean, think of all the horrible externalities and results of having basically nobody at the wheel that we know of. I don't think Joe Biden was really the president, at least not toward the end. I don't know who was calling the shots as commander-in-chief of this country, but I really doubt that it was Joe Biden. But setting that aside for a moment, one thing that we've talked about before, I have to ask, so people dating their AI chatbots. I remember the early days of OpenAI, even Gemini, even Grok, and thinking, this is powerful technology. It's a game changer, undoubtedly, but it will never replace the value of human-to-human connection. I might have to eat those words, Larry, because now we're seeing people actually date their chatbots. What do you make of that?
I mean, it's a mental disease. Why wouldn't you date someone who was a chatbot? If you're seeking like affirmation, you're seeking
Right.
validation, you're seeking someone that's going to tell you that you're special. AI does that. So I can see very clearly how this is working and how this is distorting people, creating delusions within people, because they're getting this innate need to be told that, hey, look, you're brilliant, you're smart. And not only are they getting
Right.
that just from a computer, they're getting that from an intelligence that everybody around, like you just said, is smarter than most humans, and eventually will be as smart as every human on the planet. And if it's telling you that you're brilliant, well, what is it doing? It's just pulling you in, and it's not earned. It's synthetic, and you have to really understand that, because it's easy to get sucked in. When I wrote this article,
Mm-hmm.
I even put in there. There's a part of me that said, "Hey, I want to see what Claude thinks of my new article on flattery, on affirmation." And you know what Claude said? It's brilliant. It's the most
No kidding.
unbelievable piece. It's civilization changing. And that's really what it said. And then I wrote back to it. You realize that you actually just proved this article correct. And its two-word response was "holy S." And I'd never seen Claude curse before, but it was like, you're wow, I didn't realize I was doing that. Now, of course, that's even more flattery, right? It's more affirmation that I was right. So you got to really be on guard to not fall into this. Look, it's just, I drew a parallel to what just happened with the transgender cancer. Right, it was a cancer. It was spreading like a cancer in the schools, and why was that? It's because gender affirming care, and everybody had to be gender affirming. And when you're constantly affirming, people that are having trouble, that feel bad about their lives, that are confused, that have issues, they want to be affirmed,
Of
and that's
course.
the problem.
Of course it is. But what you mentioned earlier, a delusion. You would think somebody would eventually realize this is all fake. It's still artificial intelligence. You can't hold its hand. You can't take it with you to the movies. You can't build a life with this robot. So I don't want to push back because I mean, you're the expert on this subject, Larry. But truly, I don't understand, and I want you to walk us through this just a little more, because you said it's dangerous. People can get sucked in. But how does that happen? Is it step by step? Is it day by day? Walk us through this process of how people get to a place where they go from just interacting with this technology to literally wanting to date it. How does that happen?
Again, when if you're a young woman or a young
Uh-huh.
man, and you're having trouble in the dating world. Look, the dating world is very different from when I was dating. You actually
Uh-huh.
had to go out to a club or to a bar or
Sure.
to your church and ask somebody out and have a conversation, a real life conversation with somebody. It took a little while to get you up the courage, and maybe they said no, maybe they said yes. Well, then Tinder came, and you could just swipe, 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 and
Right.
and say, "Hey, are you interested?" No, good. Next, 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 next. And now you've got this AI where you don't have to do any work. You're
I get it.
just you're
I get it.
just saying, "Hey, look, how do I look in this shirt? Oh, you're so handsome, you're so beautiful," and all of a sudden it's pulling you in because it's telling you what you really want to hear,
Okay.
that you're special, and look,
Yes.
humans are special, but you've got to earn that kind of affirmation. Otherwise, it's synthetic, and it really does more damage than good.
So what I'm hearing is it's effortless and there's no real risk of rejection or anything else. Embarrassment, shame,
100%.
whatever it is. Okay. So for people who want to know more, this is up in Human Events right now, this piece. It's brilliant and kind of terrifying. And I want to give you the final word because I'm not completely down on AI. I see some value that it brings to the table, but I'm trying to figure out right now if the pros outweigh the cons. What do you think, Larry?
Well, here's the thing: is Silicon Valley built this engagement mechanism into the product? They have to remove it from the product.
Okay.
This is programming. This isn't AI as a technology. This is programming that can be removed,
Okay.
so that AI is just serving up facts and telling you the truth instead of telling you what you want to hear. And what we have to do is we have to build AI in service of humanity. And with this engagement mechanism, it's not in service of humanity. It's trying to make humanity in service of it by sucking it in and making it addicted to it. And that's a problem. So if you want to really help, go to inserviceofhumanity.org, inserviceofhumanity.org. That's our 501c3, where we are trying to define what does it mean to build AI that's a tool in service of humanity, as opposed to humanity in service of it.
Okay, well said. And thank you for your time today, Larry. I really appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Coming up next, a special guest joins us to discuss how she escaped the grip of addiction, turned her life around, and made something of herself one step at a time. More details after the break.